So hello everyone, today we'll deal with what is order 22 of the CPC that deals with death, marriage, insolvency of the parties. So what happens to a case when a party dies? So in this video we'll deal with only death. So the question arises whether the suit will abate or not when the plaintiff or defendant dies. Abate means termination of the proceeding. So it depends upon the right to sue, that is RTS. So what is right to sue? Right to sue means to seek relief in the court of law and the course of action will continue. If a party dies, then if the right to sue survives, then or if the right to seek relief continues, then the proceeding will continue, or else if the right to sue does not survive, the proceeding will not continue and the suit will abate. So now we'll go through the order. So order 22 rule 1 says no abatement by party's death if the right to sue survives. The death of a plaintiff or defendant shall not cause the suit to abate if the right to sue survives. Please refer your Baer Act, as I have not written the sections and only explained them well. So please refer the Baer Act. So it says where the plaintiff or defendant dies, there are two options: whether the right to sue survives or it does not survive. If the right to sue survives, then the suit will continue as such by replacing the legal representative, which will be discussed above. And when the right to sue does not survive, then the suit will abate. So the rule 2 of order 22 says procedure when where one of the several plaintiffs or defendants dies and the right to sue survives. Please go through the Baer Act and read the section. Read the rule, and I have explained it. Suppose there is one or more plaintiff or one or more defendant. Then if the right to sue survives to the surviving plaintiff or defendant, then the court will cause an entry to the effect that the right to sue survives on this and this plaintiff or defendant. Then the suit will proceed at the instance of the surviving plaintiff or the surviving defendants. Let's see an example. Suppose there are three plaintiffs P1, P2 and P3. The section says if P1 dies, then the right to sue will survive on P2 and P3. If the right to sue will survive on P2 and P3. And in another case, if the plaintiffs are P1 and P2 and one dies and the right to sue survives on the surviving plaintiff alone, then the court will cause an entry to that effect and the suit will proceed as such. Now let's see order 22 rule 3. It says procedure in case of death of one of several plaintiffs or of sole plaintiff. This rule is read as where one of two or more plaintiffs dies and the right to sue does not survive to the surviving plaintiff or plaintiffs alone, or a sole plaintiff or sole surviving plaintiff dies and the right to sue then survives. Please mark the word does not survive and survive, where it survives and where it not. Then the court on an application made in that behalf shall cause the legal representative of the deceased plaintiff to be made a party and shall proceed with the suit. Suppose P1, P2, P3, P4 are the plaintiffs. One of the plaintiffs dies, suppose P1 dies, then the right to sue does not survive on the surviving plaintiffs P2, P3, P4. Then if there is sole plaintiff P1 and P1 dies, then the right to sue survives. Then according to the rule, the application is to be made to the court, and then the court will cause the legal representative of the deceased plaintiff, that is P1, to be made a party and then proceed with the suit. If right to sue does not survive, then court cannot proceed with on the remaining or surviving plaintiffs. Then it has to substitute the legal representative on the place of the deceased plaintiff, then it will proceed with the suit. If there is no substitution of the legal representative in the place of the deceased party, then the suit will abate. And when the death of a party occurs, then within a period of 90 days from the date of death, the legal representative is to be substituted. And if it is not substituted, then the suit will abate. Then what? Then within 60 days from the date of abatement, an order for the application can be made to the court for setting it aside, and within 60 days or that 60 days period also is over, then the remedy is the section 5 of the Limitation Act for continuation of delay. Then the suit can be proceeded with after the abatement has been set aside. So rule 3 said about plaintiffs, rule 4 says about defendants. So what is the procedure in case of death of one of the several defendants or of sole defendant? Suppose D1, D2, D3, D4 are the defendants. One of the defendants dies, that is D2 dies, then right to sue does not survive on the surviving defendants, or if there is a sole defendant D1 and he dies, then the right to sue survives, then application can be made to the court for substitution, or else the suit will abate. The period of 60 days and 90 days limitation is same as above. So subrule 2 of rule 4 says any person who made a party may make any defense appropriate to his character as legal representative of the deceased defendant. So legal representative of the D2 added, then he will be having same rights and make the defense which D2 had, which the defenses D2 had. Subrule 3, where within the time limited by law no application is made under subrule 1, the suit shall abate as against the deceased defendant. Suppose there are 3 defendants D1, D2, D3. One of them dies, D2 dies. No application has been made for the substitution of the legal representative of D2. Then the suit will abate as against D2 only, and it will proceed against D1 and D3. Then subrule 4 says, suppose there are 3 defendants D1, D2 and D3. D2, that is one of the defendant, did not file the written statement, or even if filed the written statement, he did not appear or contest the suit at the hearing. Then the court will exempt the plaintiff from the necessity of substituting the LR of the D2. If D2 dies, then it is the duty of the plaintiff to apply for substituting the LR of D2. Then if the above cases, the court will exempt the plaintiff for the necessity of substituting the LR of D2. Then judgment will be pronounced against D2, and it shall have the same force and effect as if it has been pronounced before the death took place. And subrule 5 says, if one of the defendant dies, that is D2 dies, for example, then plaintiff was ignorant of the death of D2. He did not apply in the said period of 90 days. Also the 60 days for setting aside the abatement or dismissal also expired. Then he can apply under section 5 of the Limitation Act for continuation of delay. And the court shall, in considering the application under the said section 5, have due regard to the fact of such ignorance if proved. So now let's see rule 4a of order 22. It says where procedure when there is no legal representative. Please go through the rule and I will explain as such. Suppose there are plaintiffs P1, P2 or defendants D1, D2. If P1 dies and the court finds that there is no legal representative of P1, then the court may proceed on application made by either party, or court may appoint to whom the Administrator General or any officer of the court or any other person he thinks fit forward to represent the estate of the deceased plaintiff, that is P1. Then any judgment or order subsequently given or made in the suit shall bind the estate of the deceased person, that is P1, to the same extent as he would have been bound if a personal representative of the deceased person had been made a party to the suit. Then before making an order under this rule, the court may require notice of such application to be given to interested persons of the estate, and shall ascertain that person proposed to be appointed to represent the estate of the deceased is willing to be appointed and there is no adverse interest. So now let's see order 22 rule 5, determination of question as to legal representative. So if any question arises whether any person is the legal representative of the deceased or not, it is to be decided by the court. Then the next sub rule says where any question arises before the appellate court that any person is the legal representative of the deceased or not, then the appellate court, before determining the question, it will direct the subordinate court to try the question. Then the subordinate court will return the records plus evidence which was made of the trial, plus any findings or reasons he recorded to the appellate court. Then the appellate court will take the same into consideration for determining the question of the LR. Now let's see Order 22 Rule 6 that says no abatement by reason of death after hearing. So notwithstanding anything contained in the foregoing rules, whether the cause of action survives or not, and after the hearing has been concluded and before the pronouncing of the judgment, this period between after hearing and before judgment, no abatement can be made on the death of either party, then the judgment will be pronounced. It will have the same force and effect as if it had been pronounced before the death took place. So another important point, Order 22 Rule 9, effect of abatement or dismissal. So if the suit is abated or dismissed under this order, then no fresh suit can be applied on the same cause of action. Further it says, the plaintiff or any person claiming to be the LR of the plaintiff may apply for order to set aside the abatement or dismissal within how many days? Within 60 days after such abatement. Then if proved there was sufficient cause for which he was prevented, then the court will set aside the abatement or the dismissal. So subrule 3 says the provisions of section 5 of the Limitation Act, that is condonation of delay, shall apply to the applications under subrule 2. And the explanation says nothing in this rule shall be construed as bearing in any later suit a defense based on the facts which constituted the cause of action in the suit which had abated or had been dismissed under this order. So suppose a defense was used in the suit X. The suit is abated or dismissed under this order. Suppose the defense which was used in suit X was based on the facts which constituted the cause of action for suit X. The defense was used in suit X, then this defense can be used in any other or later suit. It is not barred. If the defense is used in suit X and suit X has been abated or dismissed and the defense was based on facts which constituted the cause of action for suit X, then this defense can be used in any further or later suit and it is not barred. So I hope you will like the video. Thank you everyone.